All right, a very good morning to everyone who's tuning in. Right now, it's 10 a.m. Live on a Saturday. Um, Big thank you. Later, I will introduce our guests and also our parents who specially woke up early today to join us on this live talk show. And those of you who are waking up as well, thank you for joining us live. My name is Philip. I'm a social worker from Alive Community Network, and today we are here to host this talk show called SG Parents Heart to Heart Talk Media Use. How much is too much? Right? Probably a question that many parents thinking about and concerned about, especially in this COVID season and this circuit breaker where we're supposed to stay home and most of the time, what can the kids do, right? Apart from media, right? I mean, there are other drawings and all that, but a lot of times, media is the place that we ourselves as adults go to as well, right? So let me introduce our guests and our panelists of parents today. Okay, let me add y'all in one by one. All right. Hi, Carmen. Hi, Eric. Hi, Gloria. Hi, Shirley. And
Hi.
hi, Josiah.
Hello. Hi.
You can say hi to our online viewers.
Hello.
Right.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you again, everybody, for waking up so early on a Saturday morning to join us for this heart-to-heart talk. Maybe I think for a start, I will get Carmen to introduce herself. Maybe I'll just share a little that Carmen and I, we used to work together in our previous job in a youth cyber wellness program. So this topic of cyber wellness is something that Carmen has been very experienced in and we've been engaging in terms of school workshops, talks, and all that. But Carmen right now, she founded a new company on her own and still doing this similar area of work and other areas of work as well. So I'll let Carmen share a little bit about what is she doing right now.
Yeah, thanks, Philip, for the introduction. Yes, so like what Philip have mentioned, I'm very passionate in the field of cyber wellness. So currently, I just started really. I'm doing individual therapy and family therapy, especially for youth or children who are struggling with cyber wellness issues. So I guess the typical case that I see is usually those youth who probably like have some truancy issue, doesn't want to go to school, and then I'll go to their homes and talk to them and talk with their family together as a whole to help the family to manage this cyber wellness so-called crisis at home. Yeah.
Nice, thanks, Carmen. And so now I would like to invite our parents to introduce themselves a bit. And you could introduce yourself by sharing, okay, your name is there. Maybe your profession, what are you doing, and the age of your children. So to help us get a sense, like how old are your children, and all. Yeah, anyone can go first.
Okay, I can start first. Shirley here. I'm a financial consultant. So I have 3 kids. They are age 9, 7, and 4. Thank you.
So Shirley represents the younger group of parents. Eric.
Hi, my name is Eric. I have 1 kid, age 13, and I'm working as a program coordinator with Philip in a live community network. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Maybe I go next. My name is Gloria. So I work in the oil and gas industry as a chemical engineer. I have 2 teenager sons, one 15 and one 13. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Josiah here. I'm actually working in medical device industry, so doing on like joint replacement surgeries. So I have also 2 children. One elder son at 13 and one younger daughter at 11.
Oh, thanks, Josiah. Okay, so looks like today we have 3 of our parents mainly parenting teenagers, right, and slightly older children, and then Shirley representing the younger children. And for those of you who might be like me, expecting a child soon by the end of the year, then preparing for parenthood, I think this is something that's very relevant for me too. I think I see myself as a participant apart from a host as well to learn about how can I, in time to come when I'm a parent, how to manage my children's media use. Yeah, so today we just want to let you all know out there, whoever is watching this, be it live or watching it after, this topic is not just strictly talking related to parenting use per se, but children as well, young children, to use all range of children. And we want to encourage all who are watching online to send in your questions if you have any on our YouTube or Facebook Live, or comments as well. Along the way, as we're asking these panelists of parents some questions, feel free to share your own answers as well. And if we see any interesting answers or questions, we will actually highlight them on our screen later on, and we will attempt to address your questions at the near the end of the session as well. Right. So, thank you. Right. So, diving into answering our topic for today, which is media use. How much is too much for our children? So today I want to ask our panelists of parents, in your personal opinion, how much is too much for your children when it comes to media use? Tough question.
Yeah, go first.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear
Okay.
from parents' perspective.
Yeah.
For me,
Well,
right?
as,
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
What
For
is
me,
it?
right?
Hmm.
How I gauge is usually when it comes to, let's say, for example, meal times, when it's time for dinner or time for lunch, and then I don't see my children there, think ready, or or even after I say okay, dinner time, whatever, then they are still stuck on whatever they are doing on the phone or laptop. Then I think this is too much, because I believe you you can still live without media, but you cannot live without food.
Good point.
Typical kind of logic lah. So if that when it's come to meal time, they are not aware of it, which means they are too engrossed with it, and I think that's the indicator for me that it's too much.
Sounds like using Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? So, I like that. Thanks, Josiah.
part of it, I agree with what
Eric?
Josiah say. Knowing that the fact that media is the trend in our time, and as for me as a small family, with one kid, so actually, for me, I need to adjust myself, especially my approach to my child, by what is too much for him when it comes to media. So normally it's just like what Josiah say, family time. If he's absent, then there's a gauge there that I have to address. This is what my term of is getting too much.
Thanks, Eric.
So for me, how much is too much? So it really depends. So now is school holidays, but next week will be school reopening, right? So during holiday time, I do give them a bit more freedom, right? Because it is holiday, right? They can relax. But of course, even during holiday time, if they are not able to respond, right? Respond to say, for example, the daily plans, right? So for example, I would just request them, right? Just finish one homework per day, right? Just to and if they can't even manage that small thing, then I think they are not able to follow instructions, respond, then I think it's too much. And also if they would sleep too late, right, just because they're online, then I think that's too much as well. Yeah, at least that's for me. Of course, during school days, they have to put priority, right, as a student. Then anything beyond that would be too much, in my opinion.
Thank you, Gloria.
Okay.
Let's hear from Shirley.
So for me, because I have 3 kids, so they are more of from preschooler all the way to primary school. For me, it's more of a mixture of everything. Like when it comes to basic tasks, the wake up tasks, you should take your meal first. You should do your things. If you are not doing it, and you switch on TV, or for them now it's TV because they are not at the age of owning mobile phones. So that is too much for me. And for me, they are still at the age that I still can use a timer to monitor.
Right.
Yeah, that's for my kids. If it's too much, means that they are not heeding to my calling. Hey, it's time to stop.
And I'm just curious, Shirley. You mentioned about timer. So, like typically, how long do you set as a time or guideline?
Because I guess for parents with more than one kids, it's always there's an issue. Hey, it's not fair. This evenings at this time. So though they are of different age, I use the same time. Let's say 45 minutes. The max I give you 15 more minutes. Okay. I use the baker timer, so it's a very loud ring. Means that you have to stop, and once the time is up, because they're at that age, I still can control. Then I can off. Okay, mommy is going to off. I give a kind of reminder again, last warning. For now, my kids' age, I still can do that.
Right.
But I guess that if they are at Gloria's, Josiah, and Eric's kids' age, is another type of different approach.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Later on, we'll hear a bit more from Carmen on that relating to parenting different age group of kids. Right. And then later on, in fact, Carmen will also share a bit more with us about are there other ways we can use to gauge how much is too much as well. But I think we're glad to hear from different parents' point of view of how you all determine that. Right. And maybe then moving on to the next question that I have to ask our parents is, what are your concerns for your children in their media use? So in other words, it's like, so what if it's too much? The other week, just on Monday, we had this talk with our youth as well, and then we got them to share, and we also got them to share. So what if it's too much, right? Sometimes like, what's the big deal? Is there a real concern? So today we want to hear from parents. What are your concerns if it's too much?
Okay, maybe I start first. So, okay, I think my main concern is that, okay, I mean, being a Christian, so I do think that media use is a form of like an idol to them. You know, if it's been if they are too obsessed in the media use, so that is definitely not going to be healthy. Whether is it your own physical health and spiritual health, because it will take control of their life eventually. So it's okay. Just put another analogy, just like taking drugs or smoking cigarettes. So once you start, then you enjoy, and then you start to have it frequent, and then it becomes too frequent that to the extent that at the point of time you seems to be cannot live without it. Then that is the main concern.
Right, this concern for addiction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, come to media use. Normally, I think as a parent, we have to set the example first, to let them know what you should go and what you shouldn't touch. And normally, I will encourage my son, to use the media as a help, to enhance his study, to help to ask question and find answer. If he face, especially he's a single kid in a home, so normally my concern for him to use media is to improve or enhance his knowledge of using the media. And as a parent, for me as a parent, I will demonstrate, I will teach him, I will show him what are the things is prohibited. That's where right now, since then, I already not not really so-called squeeze him to you cannot go here, you cannot go there. I try not to. If you tell a kid don't go, he will go. So to me, it's just like I'm not throwing him into the sea. It's just like I want to let him know, if you have question, you look at your parent, look at me, how I solve my problem, how I use the media as to improve and help me to get more information. This is and for the time being, I mean, it's quite good. And my son, I mean, normally I will tell him, say, I will not go against the trend, because this is the trend to go. And in the internet, there are gray areas, so you have to protect yourself. And right now, as a parent, I can help you. But when the time comes, if you catch the so-called the good things, then you will know how to avoid in future.
Right. Eric, maybe if I can ask also, I'm just curious, for your son, what are the media platforms that he use most of the time? When you see him on the phone or computer, what does he use it for most of the time?
Most of the time, normally, for me, YouTube. So for me, YouTube I still can accept, because they are quite strict in certain so-called
Content.
content. I mean, those things. So YouTube is right now actually, and Google is the two media. I ask him to. I say Google my
yeah,
my
Google.
phone.
Yeah. Yeah, Google responded to you.
Yeah. So Google is the one, and YouTube for media. So I mean, mostly all the things are there if you want to find solution.
Right. Yeah, and I think just now I hear you mentioning the concern of gray area lah, right? Sometimes on the internet everything is out there, and so you are trying to encourage your son to protect himself in this media usage, right?
Yeah.
Thanks Eric for sharing that. How about Gloria or Shirley?
Maybe for me, definitely the issue of addiction. So you don't want them to not be able to put down, right? Not be able to carry out their normal social life, right? Really socialize in the real world. Will they be able to know how to interact, right? So, for example, if we go visit families during Chinese New Year, for example, right? If all of them are always on their phone, addicted, I think opportunity to really mix around and interact and get to know their relatives, right? Even if it's just once a year. So to me, that's a big concern. Of course, health, right? There must be a good balance between, for example, sports, right, versus media use, etc. Of course, having said that, I really don't restrict their media use, because I want them to be able to explore, to expose to digitalization, because I think that's the technology that will accompany them going forward. However, I am quite concerned, like Eric, with the content, right? Because my dilemma is I want to respect their privacy, right? So you also don't want to probe too much, right? But as a parent, you're also responsible for their well-being. So sometimes I would still want to ask them, so what are you watching? Who are you talking to? Are you what platforms are you using, etc. But without coming across as I don't respect their privacy. So I must say it's a very difficult role, but all in all, my key concern is, as long as they can function as a normal human being, they remain healthy lifestyle, right? Some media use is okay, but definitely not addicted. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the main concern, as long as it doesn't disrupt the daily living and the norm lah, the social norm and all
That's right. That's right.
that. Okay. How about Shirley for the young children?
I guess it's also more of what my concern is addiction, one thing. Another thing is exposure to the media, because my kids are at the age of they learn what they see. So I realize sometimes is they accidentally stumble some media that is not so positive. They kind of imitate, but they didn't know that these are bad things. I would say that, for example, for my 4-year-old, so this will be my concern for now. Yeah, for over use of media.
Right. Yeah, that's very real. They copy what they see, young children.
Correct.
Mm.
Good and bad.
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, it's true, and therefore, the need to help manage what they see as much as possible, right, from them. Well, thank you, parents, for sharing your perspective and your different experiences also with your how you regulate in terms of what helps you determine what's too much, and also the concerns that you share, which I believe many who are tuning in as well probably share the same concerns. And those who are tuning in, feel free to also in the comment section type in what other concerns you might have, or what are some other ways you gauge for yourself, for your children, right? And maybe now I'll pass the time to Carmen to add on in her knowledge and experience in this area of work. How does she advise parents on how much is too much, and what are the concerns they should be aware of?
Okay, thanks, Philip. I guess a lot of the parents here have already covered what are the so-called some signs and symptoms of what is how much is too much. Philip, can you help me to show the slides, please?
Okay.
Yeah, so I prepared like some pointers with I mean on Monday I also shared with the youth. So I mean first of all, I think just now I think maybe Josiah and Eric have mentioned the basic needs, the meal times. Like what are your daily functioning? You know, does it disrupt your meals, your sleep, your hygiene, etc.? Because like you say, the media cannot take precedence over the other basic needs. And so
Right.
sometimes like youth may function in a different way. Like during school holiday, they suddenly all this got disrupted. But the key thing is, can they function back when school restarts? You know, as long as it's not a prolonged period of disruption, I mean, it's still acceptable. So usually when we talk about too much or addiction, it usually spans across like maybe 3 to 6 months, you know, for such behavior. And just now, I think I also heard like maybe Gloria say, you know, how does it affect how they socialize in real world? So this is a very real issue. You know, some youth, they spend too much time online interacting with people online. I do see some youth when they come down to real world interaction, even to buy food from the hawker, they felt very anxious. They can't step out of the house. So this is really when it is too much. Uh, and sometimes it will do impair your social skills, like in the sense that the way you interact online and offline can would be very different. Okay. And third is constantly feel that you need to spend just a few more minutes on the media platform. So I think maybe like Shirley will encounter a lot of times. Like, I mean, it's normal for children and teenagers usually to say, it's just 15 more minutes, you know, it's just 10 more minutes, 5 more minutes, just wait for me to finish this game. But the issue is if let's say the youth or children keep repeatedly doing that, you know, after 15 minutes, another 15 minutes, 2 hours later, they were just still saying 15 minutes more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a sign that they are unable to control their usage. Yeah, maybe we see the next page. Feel agitated. So usually a sign of when it's too much is also when it so-called messed up with their feelings. They may feel very agitated, irritable, or even boredom, joyless when they have no access to media use. So I do work with youth with depression as well. So a lot of youth that I see, they have no interest other than being on the media. So and when you withdraw the media use from them, right, they sometimes they will react violently. So in the past, the youth that I see, sometimes they even hurt their parents, they even threaten to suicide. These are of course like maybe the extreme, maybe, but let's say starting off, if you want to pick up the signs, is when they start to throw tantrums, throw things off the floor, or slam the door. These are slowly small signs for you to start to observe or be concerned of. Okay. Next, continue excessive use of media, even when they realize it's negative or there are harmful consequences. So usually is for youth or children, they realize that they are, because of media use, their so-called maybe studies have declined, or some of them, let's say if they engage in gaming or such behavior, they probably start with some stealing behavior, steal credit cards to buy items online. Yeah. So these are the not so good consequences, yet they still keep repeatedly doing so after being told that it's inappropriate. Yeah. Repeatedly try to cut down their media use but fail. So sometimes our children and youth, they do realize they spend time too much on the media, and they do try to cut down, but it's some sort of, they cannot control their urges. They say that they will cut down, but they keep unable to do so. So this is also when their media use may be too much, and they need more help in managing. So more firm of setting boundaries probably is needed for these youths or children. Yes. So these are some of the quick signs and symptoms. Of course, there's a lot more, but what we want to do is we don't want to just pick one signs and just say, okay, you fulfill these signs and you use media too much. Usually, we need to see in combination of all these signs. Okay, so maybe we can move on next and just to see what if it's too much. So I guess just now, I think, is it Gloria also mentioned that concerns about the physical health, which is very true. You will see that sometimes for youths who spend too much time on media, they have very sedentary lifestyle. Maybe Philip, can you help me to fetch all? Yeah, so these are usually the how their physical health will be impacted. So when they have sedentary lifestyle, usually they will have increased weight gain, which it will lead to a lot of the other issues like your heart rate and maybe obesity, because when they maybe just watching TV on the sofa, they also eat some snacks and lack of exercise. A second is fatigue, poor sleep. So sometimes our youth actually they watch media too much, and the blue light from the screen actually prevents them or keeping them awake and prevents them falling asleep. So their sleep cycle sometimes a bit disrupted. So I have youth who sleep at 4, 5 a.m. and wake up at 1, 2 p.m. So if this continues on for more than 3 to 6 months, and because of this, your child start to skip school, can't function properly. This is actually quite a bad impact on their growth and development as child or teenagers. And third, eye problems. So a lot of our youth and teenagers nowadays, they wear contact lens or wear glasses because of our screen and media use. Chronic neck and back pain. Now, some of them also do have wrist issue because of game playing. So these are the things that maybe as of now, it may not be very apparent impact to them because they don't feel it because they're still young. But actually, I do see that a lot of youth, or children, their so-called their bone structure starts to become so-called a bit how to say not say deformed, but it's just affected, because of their long hours of staying in a certain posture. Okay, so next, impact on their cognitive ability. So a lot of the symptoms are maybe like poorer concentration, they are unable to concentrate in class, have weaker memory, slower information processing, and weaker impulse control. All this is actually because of let's say sleep. So if you have poor sleep, you will have poorer concentration and weaker memory because they're unable to consolidate the information that they learn during the daytime. Slower information processing is because I guess currently everything we see on media or on the internet is like it's like a snap finger. It appears quickly whenever we search them. So when it comes to problem solving skills, they maybe rely too much on the internet or the social media, which when it comes to the real life problem solving, they may affect their ability a little bit more and also impulse control. So mental health is one of the quite a big issue for media use. Like just now, all the parents have mentioned. First major concern is addiction, which is very real. I mean, media, how they were designed to function is they designed to get you to hook on it. Yeah. So it's let's say social media, how you can scroll endlessly. So it's not only for the ease of usage, but it's also for you to stay in the flow. And once you stay in the flow, you sort of have a bit of distorted time. You're not sure how long have you been in it. You may thought that you've been in it for 5 minutes, but actually 1 hour has passed. Yeah. So addiction is a real issue. It's an emerging issue for all the children and youth who are engaging online. uh, Other than that, depression and anxiety. So usually when I see youth with addiction, a lot of them have underlying depression or anxiety. This is because maybe their sense of self, when they so-called if let's say they engage in social media, it helps them to boost a certain or self-esteem. It makes them have a certain sense of belonging to the online community where they may not have in real life. Some of them may experience cyberbullying. Either they engage in the cyberbullying or they become the victim of cyberbullying. So this is sometimes very unintentional. They may thought that they're helping to raise the justice, but it can be an act of cyberbullying as well. And of course, if you're the victim, which I see a lot of you who are victim of cyberbullying, a lot of them have have depression and anxiety. And peer pressure, FOMO. I think on Monday we talked with our youth. Some of them do actually express that they have this urge of needing to keep up with all the things on the media. I think especially on teenagers nowadays, they have group chats, a lot of group chats. And in the past, my youth, when they put down their phone, I asked them not to use phone in our program, and they will say that later there will be 100 messages waiting for
Yeah.
each and every of them. Yeah, so this is peer pressure. They will felt like, oh, what if I missed out, this thing, and I don't know about this, but everyone knows. Yeah, so there's this anxiety of having to keep checking whenever there's notification on the phone, which will cause them quite distracted, lah, especially when they're studying. Okay, last but not least, emotion suppression. So, I mean, a lot of time nowadays, children and youth, they are not being taught on how to regulate their emotions properly. So they rely on our digital use or media use because it's it's the quickest that you can elevate your mood with. It's like a quick fix. It can help you to avoid. It can make you happy, but for a longer period, if let's say you keep continue using this, you'll be becoming dependent on it, and on it, and sooner or later you won't really go and face the issues that you're facing. Instead, you will just use the media as an escape to your problem. Yeah, so I think these are the things that impacts when media use is too much.
Wow.
That's all
Thank
for
you,
it.
Carmen, for sharing that. Yeah, I'm just also curious at this point, based on what Carmen has shared, how many of you here among our parents of panelists of parents or the viewers, how many of you have experienced seeing your children having some of these signs or these impacts that Carmen just shared? Any of you, or any other harmful effects?
Yeah, basically what Carmen has shared, I've seen it in my son.
Your son.
Bit of bit, that she mentioned, but it's not. It's just like sometimes we have to balance what
Yeah.
is extreme and what is not.
Mm.
So in a way that when I weigh it, I have to weigh it in a way that is healthy to the child and also uh, can be accepted by me. So mostly I would say that maybe more than 70% that mentioned uh, is just a bit there here and there. Yeah, experience in my child.
Right. Eric, I'm wondering also, what are some specific examples or things that you commonly see in your child that, among
Just like
those things?
what she mentioned about
Ah,
talking about 5 minutes and
oh,
an
okay,
hour
okay.
pass.
Keep
Yeah,
bargaining.
and yes, so in a way that
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
when I experience this, I will tell him, say that when when you face punishment, they will not wait for 5 minutes and 10 minutes and 10 minutes. The punishment will come immediately. So you
Mm,
have to balance. When you say 5 minutes, then
right.
I take you as 5 minutes.
Mm,
Just likewise, when I say I want to punish you, I will not wait for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Uh, so in a way, it's just like, and the other one is uh, talking about physical health. Physical
mm,
health, sometimes I will tell him, say that, okay, if you exceed the hours that I allowed, so you will face punishment. And this punishment, I will enforce it. What are the punishment that you will take, you will have, like go out with me because I like exercise. So
mm.
you will have to follow me for exercise. You have no choice.
Wow,
Or you
good
have to
idea.
buy things, for the family, go out for a walk and get something for the family and wash the toilet, all this, this is all the
Wow.
Good.
so-called the
Yeah.
enforcement. So I mean he gladly, I mean, in a way, he gladly receive it, you see. So in a way, so I would try to balance it in a way that, okay, when sometimes I will not 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 so hard with him, and then sometimes I will be very straightforward.
Mm. Wow. Thanks, Eric, for sharing some of that and very good tips for I think our parents also.
Yes, and I think Eric brought up a very good point about managing expectations. So I guess
Mm,
each parents will have different expectations. So let's
yeah.
say 15 minutes or more. Some parents, when they say, "Oh, use finish 1 hour," then kids keep saying 15 minutes too much more. Then it's too much. Some parents maybe will wait until maybe like 5 6 hours, then 15 minutes more. That is too much. So also need to see what is your expectation with your child, and of course need to be age appropriate. Yeah, so that's really some good tips. I love the idea of going out exercise
Yeah,
together and
yeah,
buy food together for the family.
yeah.
How about
Mm,
the others?
yeah. Any
Okay.
particular signs or?
So I think for my kids, right, I think the very prominent thing that I see in them is they can, especially the elder one, he can get very obsessed with uh, the mobile gaming, for example. So okay, so he realized that there's too much, so we give a stop. But he is actually smart enough to actually find other channels to play. For example, back to school, maybe after the school time, he will get his friends mobile and play. And when he go to my parents' place, then he will ask for my parents' phone to play his game. So
Mm.
it's something that I know he is sort of showing some addiction in it, and it seems that he is always into it. So I have to reason out with him that
Mm,
if this one keep going on, there is consequences. Because since young, I've been teaching my children that whatever you do in life, there are always consequences. So maybe you have done something wrong. For example, you have done something wrong to someone, and then you ask for forgiveness, and that doesn't end there, because after that forgiveness, right, there will still be consequences. So just like how you are doing it if you just keep, you know, get so addicted and obsessed with playing the games that you find ways that you even want to resort to stealing or whatever thing. Okay, you know, you steal something for me, I can forgive you. But at the end of the day, if you steal something and then there is a consequences. So just like going to the outside world, if you steal something, okay, the shopkeeper may forgive you, but the police will still have to arrest you and still have to you know charge you in court and something like that. So these are the consequences, and the consequences doesn't end there. At the end, you know, you may have you have a record in criminal record, that in future your life will be affected and you have an even higher slope to climb to overcome. So this is just something that you are adding more trouble to yourself to overcome, more obstacles. So these are something that I always want them to consider. Do you want to have more obstacles in life by creating more of this obstacle yourself, or do you want to overcome this one obstacle and then, you know, you can feel the achievement and, you know, and understand that, you know, the consequences that you have to face. Yeah.
Right. Good point you brought up there,
I
Josiah.
Yeah, I hear a few things from Josiah. One is like try to get their ways in different with different people. Like for example, to your parents' house, then ask your parents for phone. Is it? So I think our youth and kids are very smart. They can ask from their friends, ask from your parents.
Indeed,
So
very smart.
one of the thing, I
Yeah.
mean, this is actually, if you see it in a positive light, it's a life skills. They adapt to the environment. So, but then you may need to coordinate with your
Right.
parents to say that, these are the
Mm.
structure that you set for them, and so that they could be on the same page as you. Second is teaching our teenagers or kids about the consequences. So, actually, this is a real struggle for a lot of parents because for kids, like especially gaming, like I previously shared. So gaming in particular is designed for it to be addictive, and of course it serves a lot of different functions and needs. So at that point of time when your kid has that impulse, they actually can't think of any consequences, and that's the way their brain is function at that stage because they haven't fully matured to weigh pros and cons. So when you share like future uh, consequences, those are good, but also bear in mind that they can't see that far yet. They only can see a very short-sighted, like more of a short term. At this point of time, my feelings want this, I want this, I want to fulfill these needs. So yeah, so it's a good tip, but maybe think of present current moment consequences for youth and teenagers lah, and especially for children also. Okay, tip. How about Gloria and Shirley?
So for me, because I start to give them phones, right, after
Yeah.
PSLE, so I kind of expected that when all hell break loose, they, they will experience all the symptoms that you say, right? And bracing myself, right? So for Ethan has gone through a journey, right? My older son, 15 years old, he has gone through a journey. He has been through all of this, so he has managed to have a coping mechanism in place.
Right.
My younger son Joel, right, 13, just got his freedom with the so I am restraining myself to control because I want him to experience all these so that yeah, I in a way so that he knows for himself
Yeah.
whether he knows for he experienced for himself the harmful effects.
Experiential learning.
Experiential learning,
Yeah.
yes, right. So everything that you have mentioned, right? Meal times, not coming out, not responding, because he's just spending time on gaming, especially during holidays, right? He will always ask for more time. And in fact, I give him all the time because I don't really go and stop him unless I want him to do his homework. Then he will definitely say after this game, I said that let's go out for a walk. Say the one I want to, no, I think I want to. So nothing stimulates him anymore. I mean, that's what I'm observing my younger son, right? Because of this fresh experience with the media, right? Just starting after PSLE, I think nothing is more stimulating than media. So just to answer this question, yes,
Yeah.
I am seeing everything. I am seeing everything, and I am actually, honestly, I'm okay with it because it's, in some way, I really want to see how bad it can get with him. Honestly, I'm taking a risk, but I'm willing to go through that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, even if you try to manage, they will still go ahead with it. So that's youth, right? Youth are risk taker.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
How about Shirley then with young children? What are some things that you're observing?
For young
Yeah.
children, I guess now I still have quite a lot of control
Right.
because, but more of, I do see some symptoms like what Carmen shared earlier. One or two symptoms doesn't mean that they fall into the category of addiction, but just that it is a good indication for me to take note. For example, I guess I saw one impulse control or something like that. When I said, "Mommy," they tell me, "Mommy, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes." So I give the 5 more minutes. Then the 5 more minutes will be coming up again. I said, "No, I have to off." And then the frustration will come in. Then they refuse to eat their meal, refuse to go for a shower. This is something that I observe. So yeah, for young children, even as young as my 4-year-old, she does have that. If let's say the 5 minutes is being extended. But same thing like Gloria is like I'm also experimenting. It's like I guess I have to go through it because the more I stop them, for my 9-year-old, he will say, "Why I can't? My friends have mobile phone." Because some of the classmates
Comparison comes in.
comparison, he will do also like what Josiah's elder son will do: go to grandma house, grandma phone. Grandma, I help you with technical problems. Which he
Wow.
did. But
Suddenly become IT help desk.
Yeah.
he gets the recognition. My mother will say, "Oh, very good, yeah, very good." But the thing is, Kamal had shared, right? I had an agreement with my parents. No, when he said he wants, and definitely password is a no to them because Mommy, can you unlock? Oh, I'm sorry, it just get locked. You and I, we can't use that, so it's fair for them. That's what I said.
Right. Yeah. Actually, whatever Shirley shared, right? It's similar with one of our online viewer, Jesslyn. She also shared about like observing a child tend to feel restless, aggressive, temperamental, the impulse control, the emotional, right? Experience that she observed. Yeah.
Yeah, so actually, I mean, this is a very normal knee-jerk reaction. Like when your favorite ice cream got snatched away, you feel like, why my ice cream got snatched away? It's very normal. So I think what we have to do is instead of focusing, oh, you're very restless, aggressive when you don't have the device, to how can we acknowledge, okay, I know you are having fun, but now we still have to manage it. And then how can we calm down, help them to regulate? Is it having deep breathing? Is it distracting them with some other activities, let's go and take a walk together, or help me to buy groceries, or I'm not
Or
sure,
wash toilet. Wash
oh
toilet.
yeah, I just
Someone commented, good. Brother Eric, Eric wash toilet.
yeah, so I mean, or you can replace it with other activities that is enjoyable to do together to distract. Sometimes it's just that small moments of frustration. But if let's say we focus too much of that on that frustration and saying, how can you do this when I setting boundaries, or just now we have agreed 5 minutes, you cannot be this angry, they will lash out even more. So that's when conflicts may have happen and even arise. So again, coming back is to help them to learn how to self-regulate.
Right. Yeah. And on this note of self-regulating, I think at this point, I also want to hear from the parents about like what have they tried so far in trying to manage their children's media use. I mean, some examples have already been shared, right? Eric shared about bring her son, go and buy things, go for a run, wash toilet. So I'm also wondering what other methods have our parents tried, and like how effective do you find them? And then later we'll also hear from Carmen to see what other tips might she have for us.
Maybe I share. For me, I try. It's still in the use of using media, but because of this circuit breaker, right, we're all going into baking and cooking.
Oh,
So
yeah.
instead, I get him, okay, instead of you still want to be on logging in on PC, why don't you Google and find me a recipe, something that you want to eat, then we will take the recipe and cook together. So I find that so far it has been effective.
Right.
At least you feel that I still can log onto the media, but I feel that I have done something and I get to eat my favorite food. So this is one of the things that I tried during this circuit breaker.
That's a very
Yes,
good
well
idea.
done. Yes, it's a very good way of using media.
Yeah. Diverting their attention to something more constructive.
Yes.
So just now I shared the strategy that I had. I mean, honestly, because the way we were brought up is quite different from the current environment, right? In the past, we didn't have handphone. In the past, computers are so expensive. So, so with this new generation, right? I think with media being everywhere, like you all mentioned, right? They can get their hands right onto the platform everywhere they go. So my strategy now is really no right, no wrong. I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but really to make them go through. So I just want to share when Ethan, my older son, first got his hands on the phone, and again he went through all the experiences, right? He went through all the excitement, etc. And and he suffered in his schoolwork, right? He suffered in his sports because he's in the school team, right? And then I was actually getting worried, but I restrained myself. So, but one day he just told me, right, just 1 month before his major exam, end of the year exam, he told me, "Mom, I deleted every game on my handphone.
Wow.
I want to work hard and study." He's a very same-old boy. I think if you all know him, right, he's very same-old, right? So and I was happy that he started to know what is right and wrong, right? And because of the environment he's in, and because of he has that character to manage. So I think as he matures more, right, he's able to regulate, right? He's able to know how to put priority. Even during this holiday, I see he even go for a media fast, right? He went for a 30 days media fast, which also surprises me because I didn't even know until I watched the
Oh,
the
yeah. He shared that on Monday with all of us.
I really didn't know, right? So, but I think for my younger child, I'm still monitoring. Joel tends to be a lot more passionate about things that he's passionate with, right? So I'm watching that space. I really want to maintain that relationship, right? I want to understand why he likes it, right, and be able to appreciate, so that at least want to be on the same level as him. I don't want to put him down, right? Saying what he does is no good, right? But definitely still within that confines of a safe environment. So I'm monitoring, right? I'm also trying to learn how to cope. Perhaps another question for Carmen later is what would be the most effective to cope, right, for people who are just too passionate, right? Yeah, correct. So but at least I know that if he goes back to school, right, there will be a limitation to what he can use. So for him, one of the ways in which I asked him to stay in school, don't come home. For Joel, I'll go and pick you up at 7 o'clock, 6:30 to 7. You stay in school, you don't come back until at least I know that in school he stay back and do his homework, right? He stay back to do his revision. I would also provide a lot of more training for him because he also in sports, right? So at least when I know he's doing sports, he won't be on the platform. So he has more training than his brother. So in a way, channel his energy elsewhere. At least during those times, I know he's not on the media. But at other times, I don't stop his use. Right. So that's how I balance him as of now. During holiday, is really nothing I can do. Right. It's so difficult. But I think I still want to maintain that relationship. I'm okay if he doesn't do as well in school. I'm really okay with that, as long as because I hear from my senior parents, right, from other parents, they say, if you don't let them fail now and learn, right, now is the best time to let them fail rather than when they go older in life, right? Failing is even much more worse. I've also heard stories from my colleagues, right? Singapore scholars, right, restrained all their life in Singapore, but when they went overseas, what happened? They fail so sadly because they don't know how to use their freedom. They have they lose when they have that freedom. It tastes so sweet. They just couldn't handle it, right? I when I hear these stories, and it's not just from one person, right? I know that I don't want to restrict. I know that I don't want to be those that you only have 1 hour a day, right? I hope to be able to coach them that they will know how to regulate and self-control. But I'm still learning. I'm still trying to find the most effective way. Perhaps a question that I will post to comment. What's the most effective way before I go to extreme? Yeah.
Right. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah, thanks Gloria for this sharing. It's actually it's quite real. I mean, a lot of parents do struggle with this. But I think so far you're doing well. If I based on my video conversation with Ethan, sounds like
Yeah.
but also for your the problem is for your younger son, right? What happens when he is too passionate? Again, I guess just need to know what is the media that he is using and the reason behind it. So usually when we talk about media use, what are their needs? What is the needs that they're trying to fulfill? So a lot of time when we see at surface, okay, it's just for fun, it's just to manage boredom, but underneath it, is it self-esteem? Is it like building skills? I mean, if let's say it's gameplay, I mean, there's a lot of needs. Either is it social, is it achievement, is it team play? Again, like all of these lah. So and like what you have done, try to find replacement. So let's say if competitiveness is one of his needs in games, it can also be found in sports. So is very rightly matched, let's say, for that. So he can channel his energy for competitiveness into sports instead. You know, this is one of the way. Second thing is actually, to be honest, there's no most effective way to be said, but there's the most effective way for your child. So I always tell parents, you're the expert of your child. You know what works and what not works. So even though if today I shared some tips, you may need to take with a pinch of salt and see whether it fits your child. For some child, they able to function, they function differently. Some child may need requires more stricter boundaries. Some child, you cannot give me boundaries or else I will or help break loose, I will just rebel against you. And also relationship, what you mentioned, parents relationship with child is very important. It determines how you carry out your media plan with your child. uh, I see a lot of youth who struggle with their parent-child relationship. In that sense, no matter what their parents say, whether it being a very nicely taught or whether it's a strict boundary setting, they wouldn't really want to listen. So relationship is the basis lah. Yeah. So I do see there's some comments actually for our live comments.
Yeah. In answering this question, if I could just flash some, to show some response. Selena here, thank you for your response. She said for her son, he has duties at home that he needs to do. Washing toilet, like Eric, right? Vacuum the floor. When these are done, he gets some time to play games without me breathing down his neck. So there's some, I think, negotiation lah, right? Negotiation and managing of expectation there, and coming to some compromise, okay, and then agreement.
Yeah. So this is one way. And I just now I think I saw a question from NKH also. Should we as parents make use of blocking of screen time or via through media awareness and education? So screen time, locking of screen time, usually I would recommend if you start from young. So if let's say you start from young, then you can continue on towards it, and maybe when you're reaching teenage period, you can actually have some negotiation with your child. Uh, but let's say you haven't used screen time or locking of this at all when they were young, and you suddenly want to come in teenage time, usually you will face a lot of backlash. So I think all this require a lot of communication with them lah. Yeah, but media awareness and education, I think, surely is needed since young to talk about media footprint, digital footprint, media consumption, and all this awareness. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
If let's say they already reached teenage, then I think it's good to have discussion. to listen from their perspective, to understand from them. So in a way, as a parents of during this period, what we need to do is actually to help them to develop certain problem solving skills, to evaluate the pros and cons, to help them to build the values, like what Gloria says, so they can self-regulate, because we don't want them to depend on us to make decisions for them for even after they're 18 or 21, right? We want them to build these skills. And teenage
Right.
years is the best time to build all these skills. That's why they can explore, make trial and error, but still within a specific supervision and monitoring.
Yeah, and I think this point is being reinforced by Selena again as well, right? Mentioning about her use of screen time with her child, like good to a certain age lah. After I think by a certain time, then it's not so helpful anymore. And I think just now rightly pointed out by Shirley as well, while her kids are still young, still can control to a certain extent. And so I think these are the foundational years lah to help them cultivate certain habits and structures and management.
Yeah, talking about talking about screen time, something pops up to me. Sometimes when we look at it from a parent perspective and a child perspective, is totally different. like for example, when I talk about screen time, it made me go back to my to my early days. I use the media to stop my child of requiring me my time. As parent, I think most of us we did it, right? We want our child to keep quiet. Put a tablet there. Okay, just take a look. Yeah, that's the best so-called babysitter to help us. So as for me, for right now, actually I did have talked with my son. I will ask him question. How much do you think that you need to have per day? So he never mentioned any hours, because maybe he will say 24 hours. So I say, if you allow me, if you allow me to set a time for you, then see whether it works or not. So I started out 4 hours. I say, a day 4 hours for you, is it good enough? I mean, through his expression, maybe he said that maybe you can give me more. So I say, okay, we start at 4. If you can abide, the rules and regulation that I set, maybe you'll increase when time pass. If you violate, I said, if you violate the time, the rules and regulation, then I will decrease it half an hour for maybe a rule that you violate. So right now he only have half an hour for his screen time. And I thought, all the while I asked him, I say, you only have half an hour, and I lock your phone for half an hour. And why you are using the phone almost the whole day? So he did say that, he did so-called admit that, say, yes, it's only half an hour per apps. Okay, per app. So I say, what you mean by per app? This app, half an hour finish, I will go to another app. So he said that, he download a lot of games. So in a way, that also teaches me something, that, they are so creative.
Right.
And this is something that I don't want to go against the trend, because, I want them to explore. Just what Gloria say, we want them to explore, because right now is a time that they can make mistake and we can help them, you see. So at the end of the day, for me, I noticed that a close relationship is the most important thing, that he can express himself. Just like, what is the best time? There is no best time. There is the right time. There's no best time for how to teach my son what he need to listen. There's no the best time. It's the right time. I believe that there is a right time when when even he is caned, he also admit that he need to change, and he can accept the so-called the punishment, or the things that he done, and he can accept it and willing to ask for help. That's why he told me, he said, can you reduce it? And actually, it's 4 hours per game. Wow, I think 24 hours is not enough. So I mean, in a way, right now he's improving. And when we have so-called the right time, when we talk, when we listen, and we do something out of it. This is something that I know that a close relationship with our, our, our kids is very important. They can express themselves very freely. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Eric, for sharing that. Because I think the downside, if there isn't a strong relationship, then they will look elsewhere to express themselves. Then they might do things behind our backs, lah, right? For parents. Very, very good point raised there. Let me see if there's anyone else have any other comments among our panelists while I'm looking through some of the responses from our online viewers as well.
Yeah, so I think Selena brought out a good point. Actually, usually for children and youth, like they say half an hour or 1 hour. Yeah. Then like I think on Monday I also did mention. So media use, what is media use? Is it on the phone only, or if I calculate all the media use, 1 hour do on YouTube, 1 hour do on gaming, and then 1 hour I go watch TV, another hour I go play Xbox, then I come and the whole cycle again. Then you realize, then they will tell you, no, I just spent 1 hour on TV just now. I didn't spend all the time on the phone and things like that. So we need to let them see in a bigger picture what is all the media consumption. So let's say we add up all this, maybe apart from their sleeping, eating, and hygiene or study time, all the rest of their time they probably is spending on media. Yeah, even like listening to music on Spotify, you probably can count as a media consumption as well. Yeah, and yeah, Selena brought up the good point. So you may need to limit the number of games as discussed lah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think the agreed mutually was one of the keyword there.
Yes.
Coming to a certain agreement and negotiation. Right. I'm wondering, maybe at this point, maybe I'll just get Carmen to share any other tips that she has prepared to share with parents, apart from all those that we heard from.
Our slides,
Yeah.
what I've prepared. I think I segment it into children and teenagers. So for children, I would firstly recommend, let's say, Philip, you're going to have a child soon, please
Yes, I am.
delay. First of all, first step of prevention, delay introducing gadgets or media use as much as possible, because especially children with young children, their brain is still developing and maturing. So introducing it too early also may alter the way their brain is developing lah. And secondly is something that I see very often in the MRT or in a restaurant. I ever seen one when I was sitting in the MRT. The child was crying, and the mother just shoved the iPad to the child, and the child was actually pushing the iPad away. But the mother shoved it again because the child is crying. So what I see is maybe a child needing some reassurance from the mother, require the human interaction. But this gesture of pushing the iPad, like just now maybe Eric have mentioned, like the nanny, So this type of gesture maybe next so-called help them develop a habit, on relying on digital media too much and managing their emotions in the future. So please do not use all this media, iPad, to calm your child's emotions. Talk to them, teach them how to regulate emotions, together with you. Third is educate them on the benefits and risks of media use since young. So I think like what Shirley have rightly mentioned, when the children when they are younger, they will listen to you more because they look up to you for guidance and direction. This is the best time to educate them and let them know what is your concern and why you need to take steps to help them to regulate or monitor their usage. Fourth is communicate with them on your concern. Similarly with the previous points, and reassure them that they can talk to you. So sometimes maybe because we have tell them so much about the benefits and risks, and child, they when they make mistake, they will be afraid to so-called disappoint their parents. So they were afraid to talk to their parents. So they will try to manage on their own. But probably as a young child, they may not know how, you see, and it can impact them and affect their emotions and mental health. So let them know it's okay to make mistakes. You will encounter this type of dangers on the internet. If you encounter anything suspicious, just talk to you. So you'll be there to guide them on how to use it. And next, set limit for time use and access. So I think, yeah, socially have done rightly. So no, you can set certain pockets of time where there is no media time. Uh, for example, just now we have viewers say after 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. no media use because you need to prepare them to sleep, and
Right.
because the screen actually, like just now earlier I mentioned, emits some blue light that will affect the hormones in your body and keep you awake. So we don't want them to use screen time at least like 1 hour before their sleep. And no media space. So when you're, let's say your children is young, you can let them know only you can use a handphone or TV or media maybe at the living room only. So no using at the bedroom, no using at the dining room, etc. Even for teenagers, you can also do that. So have an agreement that during mealtime there's no phone usage. Use parental app. So actually nowadays there's a lot of parental apps around there. Like if you use Apple, they have Apple Screen Time. If you use Android, they have this Google Family Link. And this Plano is something new that I discovered. It actually helps to remind your child if, let's say, the environment is too dark, or let's say your screen is too close. The main function of this app is to help to ensure the vision lah. But it can also help to lock out the app and etc. And on Monday, I think our youth also brought up the Forest
Yeah.
app. So that is quite a good app to use for children, for kids. It's quite non too much control lah. It's for them to engage in no media use in a more interesting and fun way of planting trees. Okay. Come up with family media use plan together. And for this is important, like what Shirley had mentioned before, like even though your child may be different age range, but you can come up with something that in the family we all do together. So it's best if, let's say, maybe every night nine, I got one family, they say every night 9 p.m. they'll be watching this drama series on channel 8 together, something like that. And maybe after 10 everyone no phone use. Okay, lastly, last but not least, be a good role model. I think some our panelists also have mentioned just now. Children, they look up to you, they imitate what you do. They most of the time they may not listen to what you tell them, but they very good at observing. And I'm not sure any of you have experienced that, your child say, oh, although you say this, but you actually do this. I heard a lot of my youth actually previously were mentioned to me how they observe their parents doing certain things. So be very mindful because they do observing 24 hours at you as much as you're observing them.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So the next one is for teenagers. So actually, what I mentioned earlier on, you can so-called modify it according to your child, your teenage child. But what different for teenagers is at this stage we may want to give them a bit more slowly release out autonomy to them in their media use. So more on communication, understanding what platforms they are on, and guide them to develop decision making skills. So sometimes you may need to do a lot more research on, let's say if they play Mobile Legends, you may need to want to know what is Mobile Legends, or let's say if they use TikTok, you may want to know what is TikTok, how it functions, what are the risks and dangers, and maybe why they find it fun to engage in the media platform, and then guide them to develop the decision making skills, uh, how much time they should spend on it, uh, why they want to use it or not to use the app. Third, communication and trust. So this is one of the key point, because once you both have developed a certain plan or negotiate a plan together, you may want to put your trust in them to believe them they will do that. Although I know that a lot of times teenagers, they may go back on their words, not because they're intentionally doing it, but because at this stage, it's also again on their brain development. They felt like they can do this, but they may have underestimate their ability to keep to their words. So still trust them even if they so-called go back on the plan, just to reassure them how can we come up with more realistic goals together, because sometimes they may think that, okay, I want to quit, then I can quit, but then there's a lot of very tough process in between it that they didn't anticipate. Yeah. Fourth, negotiate. Yeah, just now I think I have covered to negotiate versus imposing your restrictions, and to develop alternative interests and hobbies. So the best thing is to replace media use time with other activities. And before you can replace it with other activities, don't just withdraw the media use, because it will cause a huge impact or effect of emotional outbursts. And also, if let's say they have been relying on the media for too long, suddenly you ask them not to use media, then what else can they do? But of course, parents will say, then you can go study. A lot of time, the reason why the child go onto media is because they try to use media to regulate their stressful emotions that they have from school. So it's not a very viable way to push them back to the stressor without helping them to develop other coping skills. Yeah, so these are the pointers that I have for today in how can we help children and teenage in managing their media use.
Right. Thanks, Carmen, for sharing that. And I think maybe for the remaining time, I just want to open up the time to our panel of parents as well as our online viewers. If you have any other questions related to the topic, you'd like to ask Carmen.
Yeah, I saw Selina's comment. My challenge is the role modeling part, because the hubby not under my control. This is
Oops.
true.
Very good point. Very good point there.
It's
Co-parenting,
a
right, is
very
one
good point. Yeah.
important.
So
Yeah.
parenting and communication between your spouse is very important. I mean, during my work with working with a lot of youth and families, uh, parenting between the parents, how you both can reach a certain agreement. So I see a lot of actually fathers, some of the time they also engage in gaming. So they also engage on their phone and gaming. Then the wife probably will say, you shouldn't role model this, like our kid will follow you and they think it's okay to game. And then and then the child will, let's say, when mother say cannot game, the child probably will go to father instead. Father say can game, mother say cannot game. So they will try to find ways. Like, we know that our kids are very creative and very smart. They will do anything to reach their goal lah. So again, communicate with your spouse to understand where is the balance that both of you can agree on, and to deliver the same message to your child. Yeah, so to set the boundaries a bit more clearer for your child.
Right.
Yes.
Carmen, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Because of the circuit breaker, right now, a lot of parents are working at home. So definitely our kids have more exposure to us using, whether it's doing work on a laptop or using our phone. Because of my job scope, I have to use the mobile devices or even laptop quite often. So sometimes kids of my children's age, they may not understand. Hey, mommy, you're doing work, or are you on? Or like, how do you share with whether it's teenagers or children when they see us parents doing work on mobile devices? How do you advise on that?
How to talk to them about it, is it? Yeah.
Right.
So I think during circuit breaker, our work life and our family life got a bit blurred and intertwined. So this is a very valid question. So one of the things that you can probably tell your children is, we can use media use for a lot of purpose, and one of the purpose is to work. And you can explain probably your work of nature. Maybe you have to call. It's not because you use it for entertainment. So for your child, they usually use it for entertainment, right? So you can differentiate. There's using for entertainment, using for work, and maybe in primary school or secondary school, they will have to use it for study as well. So that is like a part of work. So you also give them an early exposure of, that's why we have to balance use. You can use it for productive tasks, and you can use it for entertainment, but no overusing it lah. Would that be some sort of doable for you to talk to your child? Do you think they will understand?
Yes, for my older ones. So sometimes I actually will show them the screen, what I'm doing. If let's say I'm doing using a laptop doing documents, really I'm doing work. So, but the younger one may not understand. But it's an age thing, I guess.
Yeah. So
Mm,
sometimes especially during circuit breaker, I would advise parents actually to have like this space of workspace to really
mm,
demarcate a workspace where your child also probably wouldn't have so much access to it. I would say you
mm,
will tell your child, like, at this point of time, mommy during 9 to 3 maybe have to work. So maybe at this point of time, then you not very advisable for them to come in and disrupt you lah. So this is
mm.
also to safeguard yourself not to burn out. If not, you have to do calls and you have to take care of your child. And before the circuit breaker ends, I mean, your own mental health well-being is being affected. Yeah,
Yeah. I get what you mean. Thanks, Carmen. Yeah.
no problem. Thank you. That's a good question.
Okay, so Carmen, just another question. Because I think for media control, we are always aware that parents want to control certain contents, like for example, pornography and also stuff. It's very commonly understood now. But I mean, I just recently discovered a new area that it just gave me a thought about music. So, for example, like teenager actually can access to all kinds of music through Spotify, and sometimes music. There are always certain kind of music that can influence positive and negative manner. So I think how can we do towards like helping teenagers to access music and learn how to uh, you know which means like learn how to assess whether this music is actually positive or a negative, having a positive or negative impact in their life and development.
Okay, so I guess that is a really very good question. I think we did briefly discuss that actually music is one area of media that sometimes we a bit like neglected. So we just let them have a free reign of listening to music, right? So I guess the education parts come in when to let them know how music can actually affects our emotions, and how the lyrics that embedded in the music can have certain subliminal messages that they may not even be aware of. So to have the conversation with them, to talk to them, what type of music do you like? What are the reasons that you like this music? Uh, would actually help for you to give an insight to their world or perspective. And again, just to increase their awareness on it, like on how to select. So you can probably ask them, so how does this lyrics makes you feel? What do you think this lyric is trying to tell you? And are you okay with that? Why or why not lah? Like, and have a different perspective about talking about music, I guess, would helps.
Thanks.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks. Yes.
Yeah, and I think I also recall previously in a conversation with Carmen about this. Carmen did mention about the Spotify, I think, family premium plan that allows certain parental control, right? Yeah, and
Yes.
that's one feature lah that Spotify has as well. I think for parents, yeah, to explore.
Especially for children who with very young age, they may not
Mm.
know how to discern what are good music. And if let's say they suddenly start to sing vulgarities in the music, they will also follow like what Shirley
Yeah.
say, right? They will just sing without knowing whether it's right or wrong. Yeah, but for teenagers, it's really to again to really educate them on the subliminal message, because I think a lot of them weren't very aware, or they will feel that certain messages become very cool after it was embedded in the music tune. Yeah, but is
Right.
it also is something that can affect their perspective and values in life. So some of them, they may only just listen it may not really impact them. They may just say that, yeah, I mean the tunes is catchy, but I don't think I will really do this, or I don't really agree with it, but it just sounds cool in the music. So you may need to know how much it impact their thought processes before you can discern whether the music
Mm.
is having impact on them lah.
Right.
Thank you.
So, Carmen, I also have a question.
Mm.
So we know it's an emerging trend, right? Situations can get quite bad for some other people. So how do we know when we need to invoke professional help? And at a professional level, how do you
Mm.
approach? What is your approach for helping kids, right? How do you work with kids and children, right? If the children don't even respond to parents, how do they respond to those
Mm.
professional help? Yeah.
Very
Okay,
good
that's a
question.
very good question. Thank you for asking this, Gloria. So, I guess the answer is maybe when you felt like it's out of your control, when you think that you cannot manage it anymore, and is probably impacting. I mean, just now I have listed certain signs of symptoms. You
Mm.
have also maybe shared you may also have heard me sharing some of the very extreme cases. But of course, I will always hope that you guys don't wait until it go that extreme to see me, because the reason why it takes time to develop to the extreme phase,
Extreme. Mm.
and it's easier to get out of it if, let's say,
Right.
we intervene earlier.
Yeah.
All right. So I of course I don't hope to receive your call and say, oh, Carmen, I previously my
Mm.
youth was actually using like
Mm.
scissors to stab the parent
Oh no.
because of
Mm.
the parent doesn't allow media use. That is really
Mm.
very extreme. And for me to going to untie and amend all those
Yeah. Yeah.
will require a lot of work. So if let's
Mm.
say you start to notice there are certain sign of symptoms and you try to do your parenting, just now the tips that we have shared just now, and if really is not going very well, you may want to consider to seek professional help. And again, how do we go into it? Usually I go into it, I'm not going into it as a person that I enforce the strict rules and boundaries. Usually I will build a lot of rapport with the kid first to
Right.
understand why they are behaving in this way, to understand their needs from the media, and to understand also as a family context, how does the family interact. So
Mm.
because I do study family therapy, so I do see how everyone interaction can cause maybe things to grow bigger lah.
Right.
So in that sense, the child may not feel so targeted. The child may not feel that, oh, it's not my problem, everyone trying to fix me. So in a sense, they will be more open and receptive. Like similar advice that I give to you guys is to really start from the relationship first. So once we have built that relationship, usually I will bring games too. And Philip know actually myself is a gamer too. So to understand the gamer, sometimes it takes also another person to also to understand the experience, and just be curious. Be curious about what they have offered. A lot of time when I be curious about their games, they are very open to teach me on
Mm.
what they do in their game, in their tips and tricks, and you can see their eyes shine. So when then they wouldn't shut you off and just say that, oh, I don't want to talk to you, because they feel good about it. They feel good sharing what they are good at. And we want to transfer that to the real life application. So there we may need a lot more questions to help them to reflect. Or let's say if the age is very young, we will teach them skills to regulate their emotions. And like other tips just now, find their hobbies and interests to help to create another new activity for them to replace the current media use. So that is just a brief summary of what I would do. But of
Right.
course, there's a lot more into it. I hope that answer. I try to summarize it as much as possible.
But not to worry, if there are more questions even after this session, later we'll be sharing our contact, Carmen's contact as well, and we can still continue the conversation offline. I do see some questions being posted by our online viewers as well. Maybe we can try to attempt to answer one or two of them. This question from Jaslyn about is there any specific age group to let go of control for your children's media usage?
I would say that, like, I think like just now I mentioned there was no specific but it's more of through your understanding of your child. I would say that let it go like when you're playing a kite. You don't let it go immediately. You also don't tighten it too much of your string. You let it go slowly, and when you let it go slowly, you realize it doesn't work well. You reel it back a little bit more, and then you let it go again. It is really a trial and error process for parents. There's no one
Right.
straight answer. But again, because we're helping them to build their skills, so I would say that it's a gradual process, and usually it happens around 12 to 13 years old because they're transiting into their
Right.
youth age. And if let's say we talk about youth development, usually when they can really start to self-regulate themselves is around like 18 to 21. Yeah. So of course your goal is to let it go by the time maybe when they reach 18 or 21 lah. But before that you may need to do a lot of work in guiding them towards their self-regulation.
Right. I think Carmen made a good point about there's no I think one size fit all kind of thing. Every child is a unique individual and they have different personality, different temperament that you might have to manage. Yeah. So it really has to, I think, personalize to each child per se. Yeah. There's another very interesting comment and question here. Sounds like a very challenging one. But it breaks up into three parts, so I'm gonna slowly show us, and then all of us can help to chip in. Right. Here from Tachi. So communication is essential, especially when it comes to dealing with teenagers. There are times when he seems to understand the undesired consequences of overindulgence in the mobile, laptop, internet, but that understanding seems to last only for 24 hours. When the new day comes about, all the self-control that we saw after the conversation seems to evaporate. It can be quite frustrating. How then do we tackle this without being seen like a broken tape recorder? Wow.
Yes.
I think it's a very real
Arancha, do you
struggle, I guess.
experience this? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
do too.
I think this one,
Yes.
enforcement is very important. We have to remind ourselves that they need to be reminded. They
Yeah.
need to be reminded.
The reinforcement.
Yeah.
Actually,
True. So
I don't
I
know.
guess
Just
maybe
a
for oh,
sorry. Just a
Josiah?
comment on
sorry, go on.
that part, because okay, I just remember how I behaved when I was a teenager back then. So during our times, right, gaming is actually like not those mobile gaming, but those Nintendo, Sega. That was
Yeah.
the
PlayStation.
kind of media that actually got me sort of overindulgence and hooked onto.
Right.
So I think what my parents did was she let me play whole day, whole night, whole day long. But the catch is that no sleep, no food, no nothing. So you just
Oh.
play. So I came to the realization after some time, oh, I have enough of gaming. I don't know whether this will work for the
Right.
teenagers in our era.
I'm not sure. Again, it depends on different individual. I mean, during my era, I also play game day and night. My parents didn't control me, so I have all the games to myself. I can do what I want. But it comes to, I think my realization point is when I was like 18. Yeah, when I started to study more, when I went to uni and I started to study, I realized what I want to do in my future. Then I realized, okay, maybe gaming in the end doesn't really yield too much of what I want. And then I start to focus on my study. So for everyone, their journey, their realization points may come at a different age. Yeah.
So it really depends on the teenagers' individual self-revelation.
Yeah. So for Takchi, I guess to answer your question, it's more of one of the thing that we need to do is also manage our expectation, because sometimes you may view teenagers as a so-called adult that's supposed to able to manage themselves, but the truth is they are just children going to be an adult. It's a very awkward stage that they still need reminder like a child, but they want to be seen as an adult and given the
Right.
autonomy. So again, you may not want to, depends on your own comfort level. Do you want to remind them every time you see it, or you are feel free to let a bit of rain, let them to have that space to do the self-realization? Because sounds like your child do have the self-realization. It's just that probably he or she doesn't have that much of the control yet, so that skills is still waiting to develop. So you may want to bring it up with your child and see, I noticed that there's this issue here. How else can you remind yourself without needing me to remind you? Right, so nowadays there's a lot of phone app that help us to focus on productivity. There's a lot of phone app that remind us to be on our tasks. These are the things that you can explore together with your child lah. So give them some autonomy to remind themselves instead of you having to be the alarm clock for them every time. Can be quite tiring for parents actually.
Yeah. Okay, here's got a bit of this. Yeah. Hope that helps, Tachi.
Yeah, I saw Tachi subsequent comment. It's already constant, almost a daily reminder now. So when it happens like this, right, that means probably your child is go in here and go out here. So you may want to cut down instead of the reminder. Yeah. So sometimes they will realize, how come my father today didn't remind me? Or you may want to see they can go on how long without being a reminder. So what you want them to develop is certain self-realization. Yeah. Or else it becomes a very automatic knee-jerk reaction. Father tell me I need to close. Then father don't tell me, then I forget. So every time you need to tell. So it's become a constant vicious cycle. Then you get yourself trapped in this cycle that you have to remind them every day. Yeah, I hope that helps. Maybe you can experiment a new tactic with your child.
Right. Oh, some viewers that thank you for your answer, Carmen.
Thank
Yeah, I think
you. Thank you for all the great questions.
right. Oh, Tachi too. Thank you for the advice. Waiting for self-realization seems to be a video. Hang in there, Tachi. I mean, with the fellow parents, right, in this journey of parenting.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, this is a very good point. So,
Mm,
parents, sometimes you may also want to focus back on yourself. Don't focus all your 100% attention on your kid. Yeah. When you focus on yourself and you become your own role model, your child will naturally observe and follow. It may take some time though, but
right.
still, you will notice the changes once sometimes you withdraw certain interactions from them. Okay, so
Yeah,
hang in there.
and right. And like what we mentioned, I think throughout as well, Selena also reinforced that really parenting, it's very much trial and error, experimenting, right? Some of our parents here use that word, experimenting and taking a risk also sometimes. And I've got to say, I'm learning a lot from all of you parents to prepare me for my parenting experience too. Yeah. And I think if I may, before ending this session, what kind of came to my mind is 4 R's to kind of sum up what we just talked about. And my 4R to us today is this. First R, the most important one, relationship, right? The foundation of relationship, when there is a connection between a parent and child, when they can feel safe to express themselves. I think that's the most powerful thing lah in I think in my knowledge and understanding, and hearing from all the parents as well. I think I keep hearing this word relationship come out also from the different parents, right? And then Carmen made a very good point about reasons, understanding the reasons why they're using the media. What needs are they trying to fulfill? Is it a certain affirmation from the game, and then these rewards? And so some of these needs, can I find other means? And that's leading on to replacement. Are there other means of helping them to meet their needs apart from just this media platform, right? And then lastly, like y'all pointed out, being a good role model as parents, right? While at the same time, I think this last tip that I want to leave with us is helping our children find role models among their peers can be a powerful influence in their life as well. Because we do know, especially for youth teenagers, as they kind of get detached from family a bit, they want to be more attached to their friends. Helping them to be exposed to good friends, I would say good role models among their peers, can be a very helpful thing in their life lah, that could help do wonder also at times. Yeah, I'm not sure if some of you parents have seen that for yourself as well, the friends that your kids have, and it could be towards the positive or the negative. I mean, in my own experience growing up, I've strayed from the negative influences and seeing how that brought me to the wayward, and then to also having good friends that really helped me cultivate good habits, good lifestyle, good discipline, and all that as well. Yeah, so I hope this 4R will be something helpful to live with us, and all that Carmen has very insightfully shared with all of us today as well, right? And yes, if you do have any more questions, or you'd like to talk to us any further, or some of you maybe viewing this online, maybe you are at the verge of the extreme already, like what Carmen was sharing just now, your children starting to get violent and all that when you're trying to manage, and you do think you need some kind of professional help. Carmen's contact is there, right? And my contact is there as well. So feel free to get in touch with us. And we'll be happy to see how we can support you all. Right. Yeah. If not, I want to thank you everyone again for joining us, especially Carmen and the panel of parents, Eric, Josiah, Shirley, and Gloria.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's been really a fun, meaningful conversation lah, on a Saturday morning and during circuit breaker, something that gets us out of the norm in circuit breaker, right? And yeah, thankfully it's ending soon, and hopefully our phase 1 won't be too long, and we can get back to some kind of physical gathering and somewhat. And next time we do hope to actually organize more of such talks and conversations, and hopefully next time around it will be physical and we get to meet one another physically. And so if you do have suggestions of topics as well that you hope to hear more about, do let me know. Send in your suggested topics. The other day, one parent texted me and suggested, could you perhaps talk about something like financial literacy? How can we teach our children to manage money? I thought, that's quite a good topic to talk about.
Invite Shirley for that.
Yeah.
Actually,
we have
preparing for kids financial literacy and some gaming, because you say, must talk their lingo, their language, otherwise they wouldn't listen. Yeah.
It is true. Wow. Yeah. So we love to explore, I think, more of such conversation that can really be of help to the community out there, right? So yeah, thank you again, everyone.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
good
much
rest
for
of
having us.
the
Thank you, Carmen.
weekend.
Thank you, Philip.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Have a good weekend.
And thank you to our online viewers.
Bye.
Thank you.
See y'all
Bye.
till the next talk.
Okay.